Don't tell me people in the gacha space crashing out over 7 out of 10 reviews. Oh, brother. Let's go ahead and talk about this. We got Glaivekiyo explaining some drama. Let's go.
Tectone mocks the gacha community.
Oh,
We gotta let them
that's
know
not
that
the first
we're in
time this happened.
charge. We're the gacha community and we're proud.
Okay.
We gotta stop these bad guys in this community. They didn't like this as much as me. We're gonna take their channel down. Gacha heroes are
Wait, they taking down people's channels? Oh, damn. Come on, man. That's crazy.
Memo.
Over a review?
I'm gonna make an internet meme. I'm gonna make an internet meme on this guy. My name's Jenazad. This thing that everybody likes is actually really shit, actually. We got him, guys. Make sure to go like my Twitter post. Gacha community heroes. Good Lord. Jesus.
Bro,
This is all of this.
happened?
I want you to understand that these are all grown, middle-aged men that are fighting over a story about an anime girl.
The recent drama surrounding the Wuthering Waves 2.5 story has spiraled. A complex situation has been flattened and distorted, and a false narrative is starting to take hold. One that paints the entire Wuthering Waves community as a bunch of crybabies who have a meltdown anytime someone doesn't praise the game as much as they're liking. That is an incomplete picture to say the least.
Damn.
My goal here is to set the record straight, rather than adding more fuel into the fire or calling out any single person for drama. I want to lay out the full timeline of events with context so that you, the viewer, can see the entire situation and form your own judgment. Before we dive in, we need to set some ground rules. A few disclaimers are necessary, so we are all starting from the same.
Didn't even pay attention to the apology, but it's 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 is not that bad.
First and
I'll
most
say
importantly,
that.
this is
I'll
not
be the
an
first to
excuse
say
for
it.
harassment. Going out of your way to insult a creator as a person, to send them vitriol or threats, that is never acceptable. This video is an analysis of public actions and their consequences. Second, two things can be true at once. Going out of your way to insult a creator over their personal rating of a video game story is, frankly, cringe. It is counterproductive. But at the same time, Jenazad's reaction to the initial criticism went beyond a poor response. It became an incendiary escalation that poured gasoline on the fire. We will be looking at both of these things. And finally, a personal note. Some of you might know that I have in the past defended Jenazad during a separate incident where people were
I really don't like people hyper analyzing me. He made a joke, I laughed, I said fuck you with no ill intent because we're cool like that. And don't act like you're trying to stand up for me. You don't even follow me. You're just trying to weaponize me to fit your Jenna hate agenda.
using a vulnerable moment of mine.
I see, as somebody that's just walking in, this is a shit show. Let's go.
Attack him.
But Jenazad is here too, bro. What says he care but hasn't even E6? F you, man. I cried like a mother, man.
That was a completely different situation, and I defended him because the attacks were unfair. What we are discussing today are his own public actions in this specific conflict. The two are not related, and my goal is to be as fair as possible to the facts. With that foundation laid, let's get into what actually happened, and the story begins in an unexpected place, with a victory. To understand why things went so sideways, we first have to understand the community itself. There is a unique dynamic between the Wuthering Waves player base and the developer Kuro Games. Through a well-documented history of the developers listening intently to feedback and rapidly improving the game, an unusual bond was formed. The community feels less like simple consumers and more like protective stakeholders, deeply invested in the game's direction. And heading into the 2.5 update, all of that investment was focused on one thing: the story's antagonist, Frolova. There was a very specific widespread fear. In gacha games, there is a predictable pattern where a compelling villain becomes popular, gets a tragic backstory, and a change of heart, and suddenly stops being a villain so they can be sold to you. It is a trope that can completely deflate any narrative stakes. The community was worried Frolova would fall into this exact pipeline. Content creator Marco Meatball put this into words perfectly, saying he was deeply concerned that the game would start justifying its monetization by dumbing down its characters, making the entire world feel cheap. He wasn't alone as well. This was the test. Could Kuro resist the easy path and deliver a story with teeth? And then the update arrived, and Kuro delivered by an overwhelming consensus.
A perfect story with a perfect villain. Wuthering Waves emotionally destroyed me. Provola broke me. The best quest in Wuthering Waves yet. Okay, I see. A lot of people were thoroughly emotionally invested in this.
The 2.5 story was a triumph. The community erupted. On forums and social media, people called it pure cinema, hailing it as a new benchmark for narrative quality. They got exactly what they wanted. Prolova remained a complex, compelling
Provola's appreciation of confident game design. Provola's story is a gift to those who paid attention.
and ultimately villainous character without a cheap redemption arc. This acclaim was also widespread. You had measured positive reviews from respected voices like Gacha Smack. Even creators famously loyal to the competition, like the community-labeled Hoyoshil, Mr. Pokey, gave this story a high rating. When your rival's biggest supporters admit that you did a good job, you know you've created something of genuine quality. So this is the scene. A deeply invested community celebrating a shared collective victory. The 2.5 story transcended being simple content and became a symbol, a testament to their faith in the developers being rewarded. It is important to establish this baseline because it shows this was a community celebrating, not one primed for a fight. Into this atmosphere of near universal praise, the first real note of drama appeared, coming from a content creator named Jenazad. This is where the story actually begins. To understand everything that follows, it is critical to be precise about how it began, because the popular version of this story gets it wrong. Jenazad streamed his playthrough of the story quest, and according to numerous accounts from his own audience, his engagement with the story was compromised. He was seen talking over important cutscenes, constantly interacting with his chat, and generally not giving the narrative his full attention. You can have a look at this clip right here.
Let's see.
Uh-oh.
Damn!
Jesus Christ, okay. Well.
Bro, someone said PTSD, that's crazy.
07. You love this art style? Yeah, it's actually pretty cool looking. I wish every cutscene just looked like this.
Damn.
Can't
I
too
see
expensive.
some deep stuff going on.
It's probably hard to make these kind of cutscenes. I don't know anything about it though. I have no concept of how hard it is. With how much money they make, it's no excuse. I think it's more just like the time. I don't know how long it takes to make these. Probably pretty long.
Okay, I can see it definitely. I mean, it's possible to multitask, but for sure, this is a scene that is very deep and very impactful, and I can see why so many people were upset that he kept interacting with chat while this was going on. And it's hard, as somebody that's been in the streaming position, to have the engagement, and on top of this, they're actually having an important conversation. Right now they're talking about money going into the gacha, creating art. So now this is actually a pretty deep conversation between him and maybe like 10 to 15 other people, while the rest of the chat is actually trying to enjoy what they're watching. I can see like, yeah, for sure. He's probably like 30% watching the game, 70% on chat at this point, because it's a pretty big conversation that they're having. But this is just me watching. This is not me in his head. I don't know anything about this guy. I've never seen him before in my life.
Boku no Pico clears this? So true, King.
Oh, shit.
Let AI do that in the future, it will.
And after finishing, he gave it a 7 out of 10. His main justification was that he found the plot confusing and Frolova's dialogue too poetic, which diminished his experience. In a
It's too poetic. Oh, brother.
of 9s and 10s, a 7 will stand out. But the initial backlash came primarily from his own viewers and focused on his own process. Their argument was fundamentally simple. You cannot fairly judge a story for being confusing if you weren't giving the attention required to be understood. It is like skimming through the pages in a mystery novel and then complaining the ending feels unearned. The critique itself becomes illegitimate because the person delivering it didn't do the basic work, or at least that's how people saw it. This gets to the absolute core of the initial conflict. As one person later summarized it, 99% of people do not care about the rating. They cared more about him not paying attention. The community was policing the perceived fairness and diligence of his review rather than his opinion itself. The 7 out of 10 became a symbol of what they saw as low effort critique, and that perceived breach of contract is where the fire actually started.
Okay, and I can understand that because this is somebody that is engaging with the community at a point like he has people in his chat, he has people watching him, so of course his opinion holds more weight. And for somebody that hasn't played the game, like I haven't played Wuthering Waves, but say I was to walk into that person's stream and they say, oh yeah, it's a 7 out of 10. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna have a certain expectation versus everybody else saying it's a 9. And then you could just, I mean, add how many people said 9, how many people said 7. I've also been in the gaming industry and I did game reviews professionally. I for sure understand the weight of giving a proper score. And if you aren't paying attention to the media you are consuming and you're also reviewing it, well, it's a bit disingenuous at one part, and then the other part is it can be just lazy. So for sure, I can understand why the community is upset, and I can get why they're saying the 7 out of 10 is not even justifiable because you weren't even paying attention to it. So sure, I can get it.
So right now we have this contained dispute. What happened next turned that small fire into a firestorm. In response to this criticism, Jenazad had what can only be described as an on-stream meltdown, a crash out.
Someone's mad because I yapped during story. I don't care what they think. Curl bots are a waste of breath, bro. They're worthless. I do not care what those people think. I haven't even looked at the comments. I have a bunch of notifications on YouTube. Do not care what they think. You know, I'm down to read comments for videos. It's not even worthwhile reading comments when it's about Wuthering Waves, because it's just the dumbest humans in existence always comment.
Oh, shit. Okay, I can see exactly why everybody got pissed off. But I can also see from his perspective, for sure. Like, this is somebody that has the idea that they did nothing wrong. They just played the game and they gave their opinion, and then it looks like everybody doesn't like their opinion or they're not listening to his opinion. And they have this online dog pile to the point where they feel cornered. They don't want to open up their notifications. They don't want to face the backlash. But like, this is what happens when you are sitting in some type of position of authority or you're a public figure. Everything you say can and will be used against you in the court of public opinion. And that's just what happens whenever you get clout, whenever you get people watching you. It's just completely normal. But you know, you got to take your licks, bro. Like, nobody's perfect on the platform. We all say something or do something that definitely could be misconstrued. But sometimes you like legitimately and genuinely just make a mistake, and you probably don't realize it in the moment until like later on in life. You're like, okay, yeah, maybe I fucked up. I'm not saying Jenazad is gonna ever say that he messed up. He's probably just gonna say, hey, yeah, like I'm right, they're wrong, or it's my opinion, and it is what it is. But it's also like, yeah, bro, you have an audience. You have people that watch you, that you have people that listen to you. So whenever you give a review or you give a score or you talk about anything, especially if it's very popular, if you don't really do your due diligence, like, yeah, people are going to go after you. It's what it is.
It's not worth it. They're too stupid to live. It's absurd.
Yikes.
It's like, I like Wuthering Waves, but like, man, the online community is just insane, bro. Yeah, they try to pretend that they're so much better than Hoyo, but like, they're also shitty. Both can be shitty, man. Sure. They always say the craziest shit. Even though I play more Wuthering Waves than them, even though I spend more money on Wuthering Waves than them, even though I probably enjoy the game more than them, and that's why I actually give complaints about things that matter.
That's all ego. And remember, we're all human, we all have ego, but for sure, this is somebody that is letting their ego get the best of them. You made a mistake and it's okay. And in your opinion, you probably don't think you made a mistake. That's also okay. But to tarnish the community and say that you spent more money than them or you play the game more than them, it's like this type of elitism that isn't even real. It doesn't exist. You spend more money, you got more money. Congratulations. That doesn't mean that you're more emotionally invested. And being more emotionally invested in a product doesn't mean that you also have like some type of moral high ground or moral authority to the Wuthering Waves community. You love the game, you love the art, you're passionate about these characters in this story. I understand you want to defend it, or you want people to actually give it its due diligent critique, for sure. I can understand both sides of the argument or the conversation. And yeah, it's basically somebody needs to just say, hey, my bad, I messed up. And it's probably not the Wuthering Waves community. That's all I have to say.
You know what? Why am I being invited to Curl Fest?
His defense of the review quickly turned into him lashing out. He made a series of inflammatory statements, reportedly declaring that the Wuthering Waves community Kurobots didn't deserve to live. He had stopped engaging with the critique and began a broadside attack against an entire group. He then compounded this by adopting a strange, elitist stance, suggesting his opinion should matter more because he had spent more money on the game, and he was invited to Kuro Fest. It was a bizarre argument that only served to alienate people further. Instead of addressing the calm critiques in his own comments, he went to Twitter. He found a few extreme tweets from random users, which reframed the entire body of criticism as a work of trolls, rather than the legitimate grievances of his own audience. This all eventually led to what many now consider one of the worst apology videos in the gacha space. Reactions from other creators found it to be a masterclass in non-apology. He was described as shadowboxing against arguments that nobody made, spending most of the video justifying his 7 out of 10 score while barely addressing the on-stream meltdown that caused the real explosion. The top comment of his video put it perfectly. Bro will talk about anything but the crash out. 7 out of 10. It is important to be perfectly clear here. The personal insults directed at Jenazad are, in no uncertain terms, unacceptable. Crashing out over someone's rating is cringe, but it is equally clear that Jenazad's reaction was a disproportionate and incendiary escalation. He fundamentally transformed the conflict. It was no longer a debate about a video game review. By insulting the entire community, he made it a matter of respect. He was trying to win an argument. The community was now trying to recover from an insult. That is a very different kind of conversation. Now the conflict was a public spectacle, and like any spectacle, the story began to change as it spread, losing its nuance. The conflict got spread into the wider gacha sphere, where it was largely flattened and mischaracterized. The primary vector for this was the influential creator Tectone.
Surprise, surprise, surprise. Surprise, surprise, surprise. I've already talked about Tectone several times. For everybody who hasn't seen, of course, my other videos of talking about Tectone, I will say this, and I'll make it clear. Tectone is somebody that is not emotionally invested in anything unless it involves his community. He will see stuff coming from other places because he is like a pillar, okay? So we have Jenazad, who's a streamer, right? He has people that watch him. Tectone is a bigger streamer with more people watching him, coming from different areas of the internet in general that have different things that they show him all the time. He cannot do his due diligence. He should do his due diligence. He should look into things before he starts yapping his mouth, but he doesn't do that. Why? Because he has so many people that just listen to whatever he has to say, and not everything Tectone says is terrible. I remember he made a video saying people should go to the gym. They shouldn't play video games all day. If they do, they're losers. I think it's pretty wild for you to say that about your community, but apparently, hey, they're still supporting him, right? At the end of the day, Tectone isn't the guy that people should go to whenever it's something that's like a valid, when I say a valid opinion, I mean a valid opinion in the sense that he looked into everything and thought about what he's going to say before he says it. That's not the guy you go to. And in fact, there's not many people you go to online for that, except for people that like really go in to make videos like this. You shouldn't really go to streamers. Even someone you could say like Asmongold, who sure, he knows how to speak. He is well articulate in the things that he says. He has the same thing. He cannot look into every single issue that is brought to his attention. None of these big streamers can do that. Why? Because there's always something going on in the internet, and they're always on the internet. They cannot look into everything, especially when it goes to ground zero. Like, this is an amazing YouTube video explaining what happened, having the context. Tectone does not have full context. He has some tweets, he has some screenshots. He maybe has a couple people in the chat trying to say what the full context is, but that's just another person in the chat trying to explain something when there's several other people that also may be wrong saying something different. So for sure, I would not be going to Tectone. I would not be going to Asmon. I would not be going to like these big streamers necessarily for a well-informed take. But if you want to laugh at some shit online, for sure, go to Tectone. You want to hear somebody joke about something, yeah, you go to these guys because they're legitimately just comedians. They are comedians sitting at a desk, sitting at a camera with thousands of people watching them. So take what they say as like this person, AJ64, ha ha ha. You just laugh at it. Don't go to them for a valid opinion when it comes to in-depth research on something that they probably don't really care about anyways. It's just something to make fun of, especially someone like Tectone, who already doesn't have that let's say cordial relationship with the gacha scene as a whole. There's a lot of people that don't like this guy. He knows they don't like him, and he doesn't care. So of course, if it gives him the ability to just dunk on them at any opportunity, even if it's incorrect, he's gonna do it because that's Tectone. All right, let's continue.
After hearing Jenazad's side, the complex situation was boiled down to a simple, dramatic, and incorrect talking point. Wuthering Waves fans are harassing a creator.
Who would have thought?
Over a 7 out of 10 score.
Uh-oh. Yeah, Wuthering Waves community is so different from Genshin's community, huh?
Tribalism. Hey, I study psychology. Your boy's a certified life coach. I know how the human mind works. No surprise to me, but to a lot of people, I understand why you're surprised. Do not be surprised in the future.
Yeah, only the Genshin community would go in on a content critic for giving someone a 7 out of 10, huh? Oh, man. Man, oh, man.
Everybody's laughing in the chat.
Statistical bastard. What a piece of shit. What a massive scumfuck degenerate. Oh. Hey. I warned everybody. Daddy was gone for 3 months, and look at the mess we've made. And here's the thing, man, I'm not cleaning it up this time.
This new narrative was patent. It was easy to understand, dramatic, perfectly into the drama farming economy of online content, quickly becoming the dominant version of events for outsiders. And yet, this version of the story is demonstrably false when you look at the community's history. Take the case of Doro44. He made a video that was 95% praise, but even he received significant backlash. The reason? The backlash stemmed from a very small segment where the community felt like he was being hypocritical about his stance on fan service compared to other games, right? Their issue was with the perceived lack of consistency and fairness. Similarly, the drama around the creator EO saw the community push back because he had a habit of posting incredibly vague critiques. When he was asked for clarification, he would crash out. The core problem was the complete lack of substance. Looking at these cases together, a clearer pattern emerges. This isn't a community that rejects criticism. It is a community that rejects what it perceives as low effort, bad faith, or hypocritical criticism. The entire
And at the same time, I understand that. From the community perspective, I understand. Oh, you don't like what I like? Tell me why. And if you go to a streamer, again, like, yes, these people have community, they have people watching them. At the same time, these people aren't necessarily the ones that can really back up what they have to say because they maybe aren't that invested. They play it because maybe it'll get views, or maybe it's fun, or maybe they're not really paying attention. They're just enjoying it for what it is, and they're not enjoying it to the same extent that you're enjoying it. Because just like I love tarot, just because I am deep into it and I understand mysticism, doesn't mean the high school kid that comes and wants to get a reading truly understands what they're getting into when they get a reading, right? There's levels to everything in this world all the time. So for somebody that has the ability to really digest everything that's happening, in whatever niche, in whatever subject, in whatever topic, there's still going to be levels of it. And just because the people that have the most views, it doesn't mean that these people truly enjoy it to the extent that you do. It's always going to be different levels to it. And sure, and sometimes they can't explain it, which is why some of them crash out. They can't explain why they don't like it. Maybe because they legitimately do not have the ability to articulate their reasons why. Or maybe they articulate it in a way that just leaves more holes, leaves more questions. And when you question on those questions, they don't really have an answer. Or they think they're giving you an answer, but the answer isn't, it's not enough. Let's just say it that way. It's just not enough for other people to say, okay, I can understand why you gave something that I really enjoy a lower score than I believe it deserves. And at that point, it just is what it is, bro. Some people are just not going to give it the same type of praise. Even if you had the greatest piece of media on this planet, somebody is going to come by and be like, yeah, I think it's a 6. I think it's a 7. Because they just don't enjoy it like you enjoy it. And that's just is what it is, bro.
Drama boils down to one thing. This community has a powerful, almost allergic immune response to misinformation and, for the lack of better term, bullshit. They get mad when they feel someone is making things up or arguing unfairly, and they will call it out. This is where the toxic community label becomes such a useful, powerful rhetorical weapon. It allows a creator to preemptively invalidate any criticism by framing the community as inherently toxic. Any pushback, no matter how well reasoned, can simply be dismissed as more proof to that toxicity. A tactic that shifts the burden of proof from the person making a flawed argument onto the community trying to correct it. With the narrative completely distorted, the conflict seemed destined to burn on indefinitely in a perfect feedback loop. And then we got a pivotal moment of de-escalation. This came in the form of a recorded stream call between Saint Tontus and Tectone. In this conversation, Saint Tontus acted as a conduit for the community, methodically laying out the full nuanced context. He calmly explained that the initial issue was about the review process, and the subsequent firestorm was a reaction to personal insults, separate from the 7 out of 10 score. And I think this call seemed to work. The immediate creator-on-creator conflict cooled down. However, as the heat dissipated, the focus of the conversation began to shift. As often happens when these conflicts widen, the discussion moved from the specifics of the incident to a more general systemic problem. The new subject became the broad, abstract concept of gacha tribalism. This shift in focus
hit the nail on the head. Please hit the like button if you're new here. It's your boy KhunShawn. Look, I make hee hee ha ha content, but I am way deeper than you think. Pause! You freaky bastard.
Whether intentional or not, had a clear effect. When the conversation turns to a massive issue like tribalism, the actions of any single individual naturally fade into the background. It becomes a discussion about the entire forest, and the specific trees that started the fire are easily forgotten. It is a much broader and in many ways easier topic to discuss than a messy personal controversy. The unfortunate consequence of this pivot, however, was that the community's original legitimate grievances were largely left behind. While the interpersonal drama between creators found a path to resolution, the core complaints about the review process and the subsequent insults ended up being sidelined. And so the drama quote-unquote ends, not with a resolution to the central issue, but with the conversation changing entirely, setting the stage for similar misunderstandings to happen all over again, just like it did 5 months ago and 7 months ago. We are going to fight the same battles again and over and over and over and over.
And you know why? I'll tell you why. It's not necessarily because of Tectone. It's not necessarily because of Asmongold. It's not necessarily because of Jinsei. It's because people are expecting their figureheads to know what they're talking about, but they truly cannot take the time to truly understand what it is that they are talking about. What am I saying when I say this? The issue is that streamers do not take the time to learn about the things they are talking about before they fully talk about it. But why is that? Is it their fault? Absolutely. You are the leader of your community. You have 4.7 thousand people listening to what you have to say. But because you have so many people showing you things and asking for your opinion, you as a singular human being cannot do the due diligence to look into every single matter before you say it. Why is that? It's not necessarily because you are lazy. It is because you are a human being that does not have the ability to look at every single situation very thoroughly before you say something about it. So what should you do? When someone says, what do you think about this? Do you say, I don't know, I don't have an informed opinion, so I can't talk about it? Or do you just say the first thing that comes to your mind? If you say the first thing that comes to your mind, why is it that you said that? And 9 times out of 10, it's because you have some type of history with the subject matter, not in this detail, but because of the past. Because the world and the life that we live is a circle. Everything goes in a circle. Everything is pattern. If you have this thing called pattern recognition, you'll understand, hey, the issue isn't necessarily the score of 7 out of 10. It's the reason and how we got to the 7 out of 10. It's why it's a 7 out of 10. But to understand that, you have to go deeper than just the person coming into the chat saying, hey, there's this crazy thing going on. What do you think? Basically, because all these people in the stream, it's a combination. It's multiple factors, right? It's not a one person issue. It's not a one person reason. It's not a one person fault. This is a systematic issue. This is a community issue. And this is what happens in the world of super fast information on top of misinformation, on top of disinformation, on top of nobody having the ability to actually wait to have an informed decision because they're sat on the spot on a live stream with 4,000 people watching, and they've been live for 2 hours and 30 minutes. And they be doing this shit every day, in and out like clockwork. Basically, I'm saying hire your boy KhunShawn because I'm a certified life coach and I'm tired of seeing this shit. I travel the world, study many different religions, meditations to understand why is it as human beings do we keep fucking up? Because this is deeper than video games. This is legitimately deeper than just online drama. This is some stuff that comes down to, one, if you're a figurehead, you need to actually become better as a like in your personal life. You legitimately need to become better. Like Marcus Aurelius, you need to have meditations. You need to be able to understand why you're doing what you're doing. How can you become better? Because I can't necessarily blame the 4,000 people watching. Sure, I can blame some of them. Some of them are actively sending disinformation. Those are the ones I would blame. And then there's ones who have misinformation. They're just ignorant. I can't really blame them because they don't know that they're messing up. And then there's some people in there that are trying to actually spread what the actual information is. Those people don't get blamed at all. But you're having so much stuff going on with somebody that is, they are working their ass off. But because they're working their ass off so much, they can't really give informed takes. They cannot make informed decisions. So other people need to step in to say, hey, brother, what you said was wrong. It was incorrect. Boom. Right here at the bottom left, we had somebody come in that actually knows what's going on to explain this is why this is happening. This constantly has to happen. Why do you think every big political leader, they have people below them? How come kings and queens, dukes and duchesses, they had people in the court to say, oh, your highness, this is what the people are saying. This is why they're saying it. Not just, oh, why are the people angry in the streets? Well, they're angry because of this, the taxation, blase, blase. But the king, the queen, the president, the dictator, whoever it was in charge, they're so busy being in charge that they cannot pay attention to what everybody else is doing. Yes, this is a team effort. This issue blew up because so many people that are sitting in power, they're not informed. Or they don't have the ability to become informed at a fast rate of time. Because as soon as Tectone said, oh, the Wuthering Waves community, you think they think they're better than the Genshin community? Oh, no, they're just the same. Us versus them, this mentality is normal whenever people have been attacked and they have a grudge. Tectone, of course, is going to have a grudge because people have gone at him online before. It's understandable. It makes sense, right? The only way it will ever change is if these leaders become better. Or better leaders come up in the ranks and dethrone them. That is it. All right, I'm done.
Going to fight the same battles again and again and again and again and again.
Did I ever tell you?
The definition of insanity.
Of insanity is
This was never truly
Doing the same fucking thing again and again, expecting different results. That is fucking insane. Shout out to Voss from Far Cry.
About a 7 out of 10 score, that was just the spark. The conflict was a domino effect. It began with a review people felt was unfair because the creator seemed distracted. It blew up when the same creator had a massive, insulting crash out on his stream. And finally, as the story was picked up and retold by other big creators, it was simplified down to its most basic parts, losing the complicated truth in the process. This brings us to the label toxic positivity. What this incident and others like it show is that this label is often a rhetorical weapon. It is a tool used to dismiss a community that, as the evidence suggests, values the fairness above the praise. They are not fighting against criticism. They are fighting against what they perceive to be misinformation and bad faith engagement. This is the same battle that has been fought in this space for months. A reoccurring clash between a player base that values substance and a content ecosystem that can at times prioritize spectacle. Well, ultimately, this conflict is a system of a deeper dysfunction. The exasperation from the community, the feeling of talking to a brick wall. It stems from this fundamental breakdown in communication. But I guess that's my observation of the situation. Leave your thoughts below. And as always, that is all from me, Glaivekiyo, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.
Glaive, absolutely wonderful. That is absolutely the correct breakdown of not just the situation at hand, but what it is effectively the state of the world that we are living in. Yes, this whole ecosystem of fast food content, doing it for the clips and just saying the quickest thing that you can because that's what people want to hear. Yes, that it has attributed to people eroding the ability to have critical thinking, the ability to do their research on a topic, and you came in and just put the bow on the entire shit cake, ribbon, present, whatever, and explained it thoroughly. Absolutely amazing. Everybody, please go like and subscribe. This has 47,000 views. Glaive needs to have 47,000 subs because he articulated and expressed the entire, not just this situation, but the overall situation that is gonna perpetually be a cycle. Don't be surprised when another video like this shows up again 2-3 weeks from now, because again, just like that 7 out of 10 statement was there, and then what's his name? And then Jenazad was like, oh no, they're just upset, blah, blah, blah. I don't care about their opinions. Same thing is gonna happen again because it was here for a week and now it's gone and people forgot about it. Except for people that actually understand pattern recognition. So if you understand pattern recognition, please hit the like button. Please subscribe if you're new. If you've gotten this far into the critique, the dissection, the reaction, please share it with a friend. Because we need actual individuals that understand that things that we say in this world affects more than just their little area. Everything happens, we all work off of each other. So please help share actual information in this cesspool pile of disinformation and misinformation. It's your boy KhunShawn. Thank you guys for watching. Please hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll be seeing you guys on the next one. Again, amazing video, Glaive. Thank you for making it. Peace.